really happy to be joined now by Larry Doby Jr. as the Indians pay tribute to his father, who was a pioneer, first and foremost, a great player, but even a better individual, better human being. Rick obviously got to know him on the baseball side. I had an opportunity to interview him a couple of times. And Larry, great to have you with us. And this has got to be a lot of fun for you coming back here.
Yeah, it is. It's always fun to come back here where it all started for my dad.
And it's going to be kind of a neat deal after the ball game where they're going to rename Eagle Avenue Larry Doby Way. And the irony is that the club he played for was the Newark Eagles.
Yeah, you're the first one to mention that. I thought about that right away. It is ironic. So, you know, it's kind of overwhelming that they'd actually do something like that, but I'm extremely proud and happy that they saw fit to do it.
Well, no doubt. He loved the city of Cleveland. I know that. He was a coach when I was first coming up as a kid in the minor leagues, and I got to know him there. He did a fantasy camp with us. He was truly a gentleman, one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. And I was sorry to see him leave because he ended up going to Chicago and managing in 1978, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he was here for the 1 year in '74, and things didn't work out, and ended up going back to Chicago. So, but he enjoyed coming back here, obviously, in the old big ballpark.
Yeah,
some of Larry Doby's highlights, incredible. I mean, he signed with the Indians in '47, made his debut, only played in a handful of games that year, but in 1948. Really took the league by storm, hit over 300, and led the Indians to their last world championship. Did he talk about his playing days? Did he share some of those memories with you?
He wasn't one to really talk about that stuff with me. He was kind of like dealing with the present and the future. Now, as he got a little bit older, his tongue got a little looser, and I got a few stories out of him. But most of my stuff was either history books or being lucky enough to meet his teammates. And the first thing I would say, and they would laugh. I go, "Mr. Lemon, was my father any good?" And he'd go, "Yeah, he was real good. What are you talking about?" Like I didn't believe him and stuff. But that was always nice to hear from them. Then, of course, as he got older, he told a few more stories. But, that was a great team they had with a lot of great players, and he was just, one of the ones that contributed to that championship.
No one would ever want to take anything away from Jackie Robinson, what he accomplished, what he meant to baseball. But it's been brought up by a number of people, especially here in Cleveland, that more people need to know about Larry Doby and know his story and how much he meant to the game of baseball. How do you feel about that?
Well, my dad was perfectly happy with his place in history. Somebody had to be number two. When Mr. Rickey signed Mr. Robinson, all those guys in the Negro Leagues thought maybe we have a chance. And he was one to get an opportunity from Mr. Veck and was able to be successful. And the most important thing was that because of their success, the doors opened and people came after him. And that's what I think, he was pretty proud of.
Well, and I think that's the point they want to get across. They opened doors for so many. They were the pioneers that laid the groundwork for the rest of the African-American players to come nowadays. And I just hope that some of the players nowadays can appreciate that and live through that. And, Mudcat Grant, who was with you tonight, I mean, he was your dad's roommate,
Sure.
First roommate for Mudcat.
Yes.
And I got to know Mud very well, but not only as a player, but he was a broadcaster here when I came up. And have spent a lot of time with him. I've heard the stories through Mudcat, and that's through firsthand, and that's about as good as you're going to get.
Exactly.
All right, here we go. You played some baseball in your time. I know you played in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I did, and you can see why. I was throwing a fastball, and it turned out to be a changeup.
That's okay. Oh, boy.
Pitch up and in. 2-0 count with two down here in the top half of the fourth. Rays with the runner at second. We're visiting with Larry Doby Jr., who did play some minor league baseball. And I think I read you said when they started throwing the curveballs when your career stalled out.
Unfortunately, yeah. I could hit the fastball pretty good, but then when they started throwing the curveball, I messed up my fastball swing too.
Well, that separates the men from the boys. A lot of people, the fear of hitting, it sure does. It's a scary thing, but at least you had the talent enough to play it and go that way.
Yeah, I tell you, it was. I wouldn't have traded it for the world. I got to play against some guys that made it to the big leagues, including Von Hayes, who was the most valuable player in the league when I played against him. So I'm very happy for that time and just wish it would have lasted a little longer.
We're visiting with Larry Doby Jr. And after tonight's ball game, they'll rename Eagle Avenue Larry Doby Way. It'll be a ceremony that will take place right here at the ballpark. And, obviously, it's a special time for Larry and his family to see his father honored in this way. And we also mentioned there'll be a stamp coming out in his honor as well. Did you get a chance to visit with any of the players before the ball game?
Tony Sipp a little bit and Michael Brantley.
Yeah, I saw you down there.
Yep. It was nice to say hello to them. And Tony Sipp went to Clemson, and I went to Duke, so I gave him a little ribbon about that.
That's good.
And Michael Brantley, I just said, is Mickey your dad? Because he was one of the sons that made it. So
yeah,
congratulated him on that.
And he's doing a fine job this year. He's having a nice year. This is his first opportunity to really play every day.
Okay.
Done a good job in center field, and he had a long hitting streak going this year. He's hitting 37 of his last 40 games.
Nice.
2-1 pitch, slowly chopped up towards first. Cobb will tag him out. Larry, thanks so much for stopping by.
My pleasure.
Great to have you with us. Larry Doby Jr. with us here tonight.
Nice
Indians trail the Rays 4-2.